Meeting for Monday, May 19th, 2025. Excuse my little frog in my throat. I've had it for 2 weeks now. So, all right, would everyone join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We did not have an executive session prior to this meeting, so nothing to announce there. Let's open the meeting with public participation. If anybody would like to speak now, you can have 5 minutes. Just give your name. Come on up to the microphone, because for the viewing audience.
Do I speak close to it? Or?
Yeah, pretty close. We'll let you know if you, Sarah will let you know if she can't hear. But let's just tell us your name and your street.
Okay. My name's Deborah Riley. Can you hear me? Deborah Riley, and I live on Runnymede Avenue in Wayne. And my topic is the safety of township employees. I frequently walk around the center of Wayne, walking dogs or just for exercise. And in doing so, I notice things, especially safety issues, such as fall hazards, but most of all, reckless and distracted drivers. And they make U-turns wherever they feel like it, go the wrong way on West Wayne Avenue frequently. Run stop signs, drive too fast, and sometimes barely stop in time to prevent hitting pedestrians, even at crosswalks, probably due to using their cell phones. I sometimes almost get hit crossing South Wayne, and I think I'm crossing in plenty of time, and I can walk reasonably fast, even at my age. And for example, when they were doing the South Wayne Flood Reduction Project construction, people frequently drove around road closed barriers, that didn't apply to them. They'd stood dangerously close to the construction workers. Because of these issues and the heavy amount of trucks and speeding traffic, especially on Lancaster Avenue, I'm very concerned about the safety of Radnor Township Parking Authority employees, crossing guards, public works employees, and first responders who are just trying to do their jobs, often very dangerous, difficult jobs under the best of conditions. For tonight, I'd like to just focus on one issue that would be, I think, easy to fix. It applies to the parking authority employees. I recently noticed that they take pictures of the license plates on the vehicles they ticket. On Lancaster Avenue, North Wayne Avenue, and probably on other busy township streets that have perpendicular or angle parking, when the parking authority employee walks behind the vehicle, he has to take another step backwards, to take the picture of the license plate, and with traffic moving right behind him. It's very dangerous and, in my opinion, not necessary. Then I have some statistics. In 2023, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, 3,275 people were killed and nearly 325,000 injured in crashes involving distracted drivers. There are numerous online articles about what happens to pedestrians when they're hit by vehicles at various speeds. For example, Lancaster Taylor trial attorneys said that 70,000 pedestrians are involved in vehicle accidents across the U.S. each year. 6.8% of pedestrians hit by a car traveling no faster than 30 will die, and 37% survive but with severe injuries. According to a 2024 article by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, researchers found that the effect of crash speed on injury risk was magnified for vehicles with taller front ends. As the president of IHS, International Institute for Highway Safety, said, "Our fondness in the U.S. for tall SUVs and pickups has intensified that effect." So, as I suspected, with the many SUVs, pickup trucks, delivery trucks, car haulers, horse trailers, buses, and so forth driving down Lancaster Avenue every day, often going well over the speed limit, why would the township let its employees stand on the very edge of a busy travel lane simply to take a picture of a license plate? The fines that might be lost in court without that picture wouldn't begin to compare to the damaged and lost lives if they get hit. So for the safety of its parking authority employees, I respectfully request that Radnor Township discontinue the practice of photographing the license plates of vehicles that are being ticketed. So thank you for the opportunity to present this issue and for your attention, hopefully, to this very urgent matter. Do you like a copy of what I
Sure.
read? Okay.
I'd love one. Thank you for looking out for our township employees, and we can have some further discussions with Mr. Maratea and the chief.
Okay, thank you.
We'll let you know. Is
Wednesday to that meeting, shouldn't it? Traffic meeting?
sure, the staff traffic meeting? Sure, if you want to make a statement there, that would be fine. Yeah. All right, anyone else for public participation at this time? Come on up.
Good evening, commissioners, township employees, fellow residents of Radnor. My name is Gregory Stagliano. I have lived here now for 23 years, so I guess I'm a seasoned Radnorite by now. What brings me here today is the fact that the other day my wife and I, we could have celebrated what would have been a momentous occasion in most people's lives. We paid off our mortgage. Except that we owe more in GD property taxes than our mortgage ever was. And I'm here to address the outrageousness of the property tax system we have in the state. And I'm here to be informational at this stage. I don't expect you folks as commissioners to believe you have any authority about any of this. I understand that. I understand how things work. But what I need to bring to your attention is the fact that right now, a Republican legislator named Russ Diamond has put out a proposed bill. It's House Bill 900. He is looking to eliminate property taxes entirely in the state. He'll get my vote. And apparently, according to his assistant with whom I spoke this morning, the vagaries of our law and the way our Constitution is written, this would require a constitutional amendment. You can't even amend our tax laws to say that, resident senior citizens are exempted from property tax. That's what I was told. As I report back to all of you folks, I will gather more information, and rest assured I will investigate that to see whether that's accurate information. I know in Jersey, they've just cut the property tax in half for senior citizens. But it should never, ever be a situation where the government, any local government in the United States of America, is putting people out of their homes. It just shouldn't be that way. I don't care if you keep this in place, this travesty in place, and you say, okay, it just goes on as a lien. And whenever you do depart from the property, you'll have to pay us then. But you should never, ever be allowed to throw older folks especially, but anybody, out of their home for stupid taxes, which are irrational, illogical, and make absolutely no sense. Not one of you could give me a justification, if I put you to it, to justify why I pay so much. I pay $30,000 a year in school tax. The other issue, and the reason I bring this up, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but there's a Commonwealth Court decision that came out 2 years ago. That decision declared our entire system of funding our public schools unconstitutional. So the whole system's illegal. So the first question I ask, and I do ask the commission to address this, and if you can address it by the next meeting, fine. If you want to form an ad hoc committee of 2 people, fine. But why in the world should I write a check to Radnor School District in June for a system we know has been declared unconstitutional, which they never appealed? Commonwealth of Pennsylvania did not appeal. So that's the law today. The law is our entire system of funding public school education in this state is illegal. So why should we pay it? I don't want to. And I'm going to investigate what and all I'm saying to everyone here is investigate your legal rights. Before you don't write them a check, talk to a lawyer. But make sure the lawyer has some intestinal fortitude. Make sure the lawyer has a right mind about this issue. It's time for us to get together and fight this atrocity. I know that everybody's all happy. Oh, Radnor School District, gee whiz, it's great. My wife and I attended a concert the other night, fabulous concert at the Wayne Middle School. I was made nauseous by the ridiculously opulent condition of that school. I said to my wife, I said, this is a middle school. She said, it's a middle school? I said, yeah, this is for 9, 10, 11-year-olds. I said, I'll bet you there isn't a single building in Philadelphia that looks half this good, or in Chester, or in Coatesville. That was the basis of the Commonwealth Court's decision. Our system is so screwed up, we're victimizing children all over the Commonwealth on my back, on my dime. I don't want to be a part of that system anymore. I hopefully think you agree with me. You shouldn't want to be a part of that system either. We shouldn't all be saying, Ray, Radnor's the best school district ever. It should be, they're all good. They're all good. We shouldn't be participating in a farce where we try to make our public schools look like private schools. That's ridiculous. They should all be a medium level of education, medium kinds of accoutrements, etc. But it should all be the same for every single child. So besides Russ Diamond's bill, you've got the unconstitutionality of it, and so therefore I suggest to you all, this is the time to look at this issue. I'm going to be reporting back. Hopefully you can report something to me. I know this is an election year. I'm going to be looking for you folks to give us some favorable reporting about this issue. And my email is gstag3@comcast.net. gstag3@comcast.net. I would like to be able to email all members of the commission, if you're willing to do that. It'll only be about business, not about, personal stuff. And I also have in writing, I have 25 copies of Representative Diamond's little summary he gave. And I'm going to leave these out here tonight, okay? Thank you.
I might direct you to go and speak to the school board as well.
I will. When do they meet again, if anyone knows?
It's Mondays, but I'm not sure.
I'll look it up.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
it'll be on their website. Sorry. Is it Tuesday? Oh, it's Tuesday. Tuesdays? I don't know. They have so many committees. All right. Any further public participation?
Good evening. John Aiken, 116 South Bellevue Avenue. I just want to dovetail onto what Deb Riley had to say about the traffic and parking and the congestion in Wayne. I had actually not planned to speak to anything, and I didn't get a chance to fully read her paper here. But I did want to dovetail with the congestion, the parking, the speeding, people turning left in no-turn zones, making U-turns, in addition to the folks that are walking around and they've got their smartphone and they're walking up like this and doing stuff right up to the curb, and sometimes they're not watching the cars. Now on Bellevue Avenue, when I pull out of my driveway, and if there's some of the cars that are sort of like almost trucks on steroids, and if they park too close to my driveway, I cannot see, and I have to edge out very carefully because of these gigantic automobiles. One of my neighbors has had 2 windows knocked off of their car because of traffic. So what I'm doing now is to encourage you to take the traffic situation in Wayne, downtown Wayne, and the surrounding blocks with a greater sense of urgency, because people are driving too fast, they're texting while they're driving, they're making turns and such where they shouldn't be, and this is something that everyone should be more cognizant of for the safety not just of the employees, but of pedestrians walking around. So I would urge you to take those matters with greater urgency. And the last thing I'll have to say is, and I don't have my do not litter sign, but again, that's something that would save the township money. It takes a strain off of the drainage infrastructure, and ultimately it will save us money. Thank you very much, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to address these issues at these meetings. And good night.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there any item on the consent agenda anyone would like to pull? Commissioner Agnew.
I'd like to pull the 2A chief's report.
All right, 2A. Any other item? All right, seeing none, let's go first to item 2A, the chief's monthly report. Commissioner Agnew, you want to?
Sure. I've asked the chief to include, and he did it last month, and is, I hope, continuing in the future, report on the mental health calls. We have a very, I think, advanced outlook on how to handle these, and we've done a lot of work. Before I was on the board, you appropriated the money for a mental health staff, and it seems to me, in looking at this, that they've done a lot of great work. So I'd like to, if you could sort of describe what's going on. In particular, it seems that there's in addition to the mental health, I think there were 11 or 13 cases, but there were also very unsettling, suicides and domestic non-arrests. So I'd like to know if Isabel, if Ms. Cook, if you follow up with those families, just sort of describe your work in that area, and Chief, whatever you feel you have to say.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Just for the community and the rest of the commissioners, you will now see our pie graph that is located as part of the Chief's report, and that we will now demonstrate the services that we're providing in a more open way, just so people can see and acknowledge some of the trends that we're seeing. They do go up and down. They'll change in variety. We're hopefully, the goal would be to have none, but obviously that isn't a reality. So you will continue to see this. And one of the things I want to highlight before I turn it over to Isabel about our specific services is just you also see that we are proactive in training and being involved in relationships and other trainings in the county, not just in Radnor. So it's just a highlight. I will now turn it over to our police social worker, Isabel Cook.
Hello. So the big trend that we saw in April was pretty split between mental health calls and domestic violence, which seems to be the trend that we've been seeing. For any of those calls, I will follow up with the individuals 24 to 48 hours, depending on the nature of the call, offer immediate assistance, and then always a goal for mine is to connect them to a longer-term resource if it's appropriate. We have developed really good relationships with a lot of community agencies in the county to make a more direct line for referrals. Right now, if an outsider were to call, it could take weeks or months sometimes to get connected to some of those services. So now being connected through me, that can be a much quicker turnaround, which is likely to get the person or the family the needs that they want in a more timely manner. We also have people come and meet with me in person too. We offer that. We also go to people's homes too. So we're kind of doing a little bit of everything. Again, depending on the circumstances to why we got involved. We've also seen a greater number of collaboration with the school district and making sure that families in the community are being properly supported if there's any involvement on our end too.
Those 11 cases that are listed, does that include the suicide and the other domestics and things, or no?
Yeah, the mental health does include the suicide.
Okay.
I split them. So any kind of dual concern where there's domestic violence and mental health, that's how I kind of tag those, I guess. But yes, the suicide was included in the mental health.
And the closing of Crozier Chester, how will that impact you?
So we have come up with a kind of contingency plan. The county has given us directive as well. Fortunately, we have a really good relationship with Bryn Mawr, so we have a pretty solid contingency plan in the event. Luckily, we haven't seen too much from that closure yet. We are going to be holding kind of an open forum to talk about the changes that are occurring in Delaware County for residents in the community so they can have a better idea of who to call, where do you go if you have to get an involuntary commitment, and so forth. It is a pretty fluid moment still, so it's constantly changing, but I do feel confident that on our end, all of our officers know where they need to take people and how to do that in the most safe manner.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So at Delco Gives last week, and this happened last year, there's people from all over the county there, and they are so impressed with what you guys have been doing. So I just want to give that little tip of the cap.
Thank you. I think we're all very impressed with what they've been doing, so it's excellent. All right, could I have a motion to approve the Chief's monthly report, item 2A?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Larkin, and a second.
Second.
Second by everybody. All right, let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. The remainder of the consent agenda, is there any public comment on any item on this? I should have called for public comment on that one item. I'm sorry, I didn't. Seeing none, could I have a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda? So moved by Commissioner Riley, second by Commissioner Mulrooney. All in favor? Aye. All right, unanimous. Off to the business agenda. Item 3A is the appointment of Colin Whalen to the Historic and Architectural Review Board for an unexpired term ending December 31st, 2029. Could I have a motion, please? So moved by Commissioner Mulrooney, and a second. Second by Commissioner Riley. Any discussion? Any public participation? Seeing none, could I have a vote to approve the appointment? All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Item 3B, the Radnor Police Department, conditional offer of employment. Radnor Police has authorized strength of 50 sworn personnel. They're requesting the conditional offer to fill one vacancy resulting from a January 2025 retirement. This candidate has followed the civil service process and will be hired following a medical examination and psychological examination. Could I have a motion, please? So moved by Commissioner Agnew, and a second. Second by Commissioner Riley. Chief, do you have any comment?
Just to let the commissioners know, our Civil Service Commission on March 12th, 2025, established a list of 14 candidates. This is one of the 14 candidates. The list is valid for 1 year unless extended, and we request that you move this forward with a conditional offer. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion or comments? No? Any public participation on this item? Seeing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Item 3C is a caucus, so there will be no vote on this issue. It's a minor final subdivision plan for 201 South Spring Mill Road, a subdivision of a vacant single lot into 2 lots, each with a proposed residential dwelling. Mr. Cornelia, you want to start us off?
Evening, Nick Canelli, representing the applicant. As was mentioned, this is a 2-lot subdivision located here on Spring Mill Road. It received unanimous approval from the Planning Commission. There was relief received from the Zoning Hearing Board on steep slope, and in fact, that relief was modified. So the first relief was to extend the sewer line through the steep slope in the rear of the property. The second relief, there's a soil stockpile located in this area, and the zoning board granted that relief as well. The Planning Commission recommended approval of both of those. The Planning Commission did not recommend approval of steep slope, disturbance of steep slope in this area on the western side of this site, and actually the applicant removed that request. So they complied with the Planning Commission's recommendation, and this 2-lot subdivision that you see here. As to the comments, a couple waivers are requested. One, the standard waiver regarding location of areas within 500 feet of the site. We do have the aerial photograph that you see on sheet 1 of 8 of the plan. The second waiver involved curbs and sidewalks. There were no curbs and sidewalks provided along this street. The applicant has agreed to a fee, which seems like the direction we've been going. Mr. Nursini eventually will let us know what that fee in lieu will be. And that's regarding curbs and sidewalks on South Spring Mill Road. The other request is the depth of the lot shall not exceed by more than 2.5 times the width. We've prepared a plan of this area, and all the green items that you see there, They are the lots that do not conform with that requirement as it is. It's just, as I mentioned, for not certain why, but the saldo states that your length cannot exceed 2.5 times the width. So that's the request that we have regarding waivers. We are providing a 60-foot right-of-way, and everything is measured from the setbacks for that 60-foot right-of-way. And then the only other thing would be, Mike, if you just want to address quickly the stormwater management and how we're handling that.
Good evening. Mike Rokosny from Site Engineering. So we received a comment to analyze the two lots separately. So we revised our stormwater calcs to separate. We're providing two separate stormwater systems for this development. So we analyzed the pre-existing conditions for each one separately, and then are reducing the runoff rates from the post-development condition to the pre-development condition. For each lot, we are providing a infiltration stormwater management bed. The runoff from the house is collected by roof drains. Those roof drains are piped to the stormwater bed and infiltrated into the ground. There's also a few yard drains to collect any additional runoff. Stormwater plan. It's going to be hard to see on the screen here, but we have a few yard drains to collect any overland flow, and then we're collecting the roof drains. They're being collected into the trunk line that then goes to the infiltration beds.
All right. The stormwater systems are under the driveway, is that how it ends up?
Yes, they're shown in the block right under the driveway here.
No, I just can't read it, it's a little bit.
It's a little hard, small
Yeah.
on the screen.
All right. Commissioner, questions, comments?
First question, what's a standard waiver?
The 500. The 500 feet. I don't think I've ever appeared before this board and not asked for that waiver. For the 500 feet location of landmarks within 500 feet of the site. I'm sorry, Commissioner Riley, it seems like everyone asks for that waiver. I'm not certain really if you need a waiver for it. It says locate, and I think the aerial does it, but everyone asked for the waiver.
I'll vouch for that.
Yeah.
No, not related to that. The stormwater thing, it's underground. I know most of these are underground when they're doing stormwater. I've seen too many, and it's good and bad reasons. The bad reason, they get clogged from leaves. The leaves are because we have trees, which is good. If this thing gets covered and doesn't allow water to go in, what happens?
Yep. We have a maintenance agreement now, and I'll let Mike address it more, but we do enter into a maintenance agreement, and part of that maintenance agreement, actually, I believe, is a separate stormwater management agreement that the homeowner has to comply, and there's inspection requirements and things of that nature. Mr. Nelson, do you know off the top of your head on that one? I know there's a...
Not off the top of my head, sorry.
Okay.
And then just added on to that, I've seen some that say the gutter downspout goes down, it goes somewhat horizontal, and then the grate's here, and typically the water goes downhill into it, but then if it's covered with leaves, it just goes over top of it, messes up everything. So the simple fix to that, have the pipe go down into the thing. So are some of those pipes from up above going down, and do they have things that stop the leaves from going into the thing?
Yeah, so on sheet 6 of our plans, we have a downspout detail. This detail shows there's clean outs for all the downspouts, and then for the basin itself, we provide access risers so that if anything were to clog, you could open that riser. It's not going to be like completely covered and sealed. There's still maintenance access.
Yeah, even that gutter thing that's coming down, instead of the clean out, have it go down right into where the water's going. If it's going into the stormwater thing, just have it go into the stormwater.
That's what it's doing here. So this, I don't know if you can see it up on the screen here. So this is coming directly off of the house, and then this pipe here is showing
Underneath
the
is in.
trunk line that goes, it's underground and it goes directly into the stormwater system.
Okay, very good. Mr. Norsini, like downhill from this spot is where we had the meeting
So, in general, what you have outlined is what does occur. Most of these are piped directly into the subsurface system, so a lot of that is eliminated. As far as the yard drains that the engineer had noted, that is a responsibility of the homeowner to keep clean. And as Mr. Cornelia noted, we do have a maintenance agreement that will take place if this subdivision is approved. And we have the ability to go on their property and look and inspect. In general, it takes a considerable amount of debris to clog one of these. That doesn't mean they don't have to be cleaned. They do. We did meet downhill. There's a considerable drainage area. I think I might have been 90 acres from our conversation that drains to that lower area. So from a flooding standpoint, these homes aren't going to tip the scales, right? And there was, Mr. Cornelia, there was an existing home on this site that was demolished. So again, in general terms, you had an existing home that had no stormwater management whatsoever. So whatever came down on its rooftop and driveways was uncontrolled. Now, everything on this site is controlled. So it actually should be better than what the situation was prior to demolition of that house.
All right, very good, thanks.
Was there a problem before when there was just a single-family home there? And I've been to that house every day for years. Every week for years. So was there a stormwater problem?
So the commissioner and I met with some residents down below of here, and in very big storms, there are issues. And again, there's 90 acres that drain to that, so I can't attribute it to the house that was there previously. There's a sizable drainage area that goes to those homes. And there's a small intermittent stream that it's intermittent during the day, during when it's not raining, that when we get a big gully washer, it does run pretty heavily through there. If memory serves me, Commissioner, there was when I say no property damage, there wasn't water going into people's houses or into their garages. This was mainly runoff that affected their backyards and areas like that.
But there were no problems, there were no complaints to the township about water running down. As you said before, there was a meeting about water running down after the trees were cut down, I think. But before that, there was never any complaints that you know of?
We did get some, that was the impetus for the meeting, right? So my thought is, whatever the situation is now is what has occurred for some time. When you have 90 acres draining to an area, there could be issues at times. The removal of trees or a single home aren't going to tip those scales one way or the other when you look at that size of a drainage area.
So 201 was demolished? Is that right?
Mike, do you know? I was not a part of that project.
I believe it was. I don't know. Do we have it? No.
It was not, no, because it's been rehabbed.
It was part of it was a separate parcel that was,
Okay.
that we're working on now. There's another.
Yeah.
201 was purchased as two separate parcels. The one parcel has a large stone home on it, which is still there. The other parcel was pretty much as it is on this plan.
Okay. So I can't really tell, but I can kind of see. It's a treacherous exit from 201 onto South Spring Mill. And what I can't tell from the drawings is where the driveways are. I think they're the gray things there. But
Yes, the driveways are shown in the gray.
right. And so
pattern here.
is there a way for the cars, when they come in, to turn around so they can exit facing forward? Because it is a treacherous exit out of that property.
Yeah, so. This just shows it a little bit more clearly without the stormwater turned on, but there's ample room for a car to park or to turn around in this upper area.
Will that be paved?
Yes, the gray area is the extent of the paved driveway.
So they can come in and turn around? Okay. Okay.
And is the house to the left as we look at this, is that the stone house you're referring to? Or is the stone house is going to be torn down and 2 new houses will be built? I'm sorry, I'm just a
No,
little confused.
go ahead. The stone house, that's a separate lot.
Yeah.
Where's it? And
I think
that
they're
stays?
Ah,
Okay.
thank you. So
That
this is,
stays, yeah.
This is a separate parcel.
fine.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, I was wrong because there was no home, my understanding is now, there was no home on this parcel that we're subdividing. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Yes.
Matt? Okay.
So wait, didn't you say there was a building there? What building?
No, there was,
There was no.
where the subdivision's occurring, there was not.
The building they're referring to is this
The
4 here.
original house,
Yes.
Number 4.
or whatever number it is. Okay.
There was an existing pool on that parcel, as well as some fencing and some debris and a shed, I believe.
I knew there was
That was-
something over there at one point in
Yeah, it was a
time.
big pool.
So this parcel was sort of like the yard to this house
Correct.
that's marked number 4 here.
That is correct.
But they were 2 separate lots?
We
One
purchased them
owner,
as
2
2
separate
separate
lots.
parcels, yes.
You bought 2 separate parcels.
Correct,
The house is remaining,
correct.
and then what was kind of the yard with pool and other things
That
is
is
what we're
correct.
talking about tonight.
That is correct.
Thank you. I was very confused.
Sorry, we didn't help with that in the beginning. Yeah, sorry about that.
Nor did I, Commissioners. My
But we got it straight now, I think, so that's important. No sidewalks. Mr. Norsini, you want to comment on that?
So I'm a proponent of sidewalks. We've talked about this. This is a narrow street, not conducive for pedestrians as it sits. So really, this is a board question here. I'm going to determine a cost for the developer, and there would be a fee in lieu of, and that would go into an account through our finance department, that if we wish to do sidewalks, like a sidewalk project here later, that could be used towards that. Or we could have this house install curb and sidewalk as it sits today. That would be the only one on the street. It would be the beginning. The idea being, and people will say, oh, this is a sidewalk to nowhere, and in reality it is. And you're hoping that either over time, infill building will connect those dots, or that's one less spot if the township should choose to do a sidewalk project that we would need to connect to. We did ask the developer to either way grade the area so that if we do a sidewalk project, we don't have to do extensive excavation. But I think the fee in lieu of gives the board some ability to pivot on this if they wish to do them here or elsewhere. It will be funding for that.
Yeah, I'm a proponent of sidewalks also. So my other comment is the waiver for the width and depth, or the depth being more than 2.5 the width. I mean, they really are very narrow lots. Now, I realized when you showed the overhead, the whole area, that the ones across the street are as narrow, just not as deep. I just wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, I guess if you could expand, I was having the same issue. If you can expand on our formula is 2.5, where is this one? Do the math for me on this?
Do you know how much?
Yeah, so lot 1, the required ratio is 2.5, and this will be 2.59. Lot 2, same requirement, 2.5, and this is 2.87.
Thanks, that's helpful.
How big is each lot, acre-wise?
So proposed lot 1 is 31,325 square feet, and lot 2 is 33,848 square feet.
Yeah, and what's the zoning in this spot?
Required limit is 20,000.
It's just deep. All right, any further discussion? No? In the spirit of a good caucus, any public participation? All right, seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3D is Resolution 2025-72, a final land development plan approval for 695 Clyde Road, the Radnor Township School District, Ithan Elementary School. construction of a new school to replace the existing school, which is to be demolished, and related modifications to parking lots, driveways, and grounds. Could I have a motion, please? So moved by Commissioner Riley, and a second. Second by Commissioner Agnew. Mr. Falcone.
Good to see everyone. David Falcone here on behalf of the Radnor Township School District. As was noted, we are here seeking final approval tonight for the Ithan Elementary School construction project. You all have seen this project many times through the process and just recently, a couple of weeks ago during caucus. At that caucus meeting, we noted that coming out of the Planning Commission, we did not receive a recommendation for final approval due to some open traffic comments. Subsequent to that Planning Commission meeting and before the caucus meeting, we were able to resolve those with staff. I'm sure Mr. Norsini or Mr. Drummond could confirm that. Again, nothing has changed since the caucus status, but we are here tonight seeking actual approval, so wanted to confirm again on the record that those items that were of concern to the Planning Commission have been satisfactorily addressed with staff. No other things have changed with respect to the plan, except that since the meeting we had with the board, I believe that administrators from the district as well as from the township have met and discussed funding of off-site improvements at the intersection of Clyde and Sprawl. The township is submitting a grant request for that intersection, and the district has issued a letter in support of that request, but has also committed to fund 50% of whatever cost is not ultimately approved for grant. So we've worked that out with staff to help with some of that off-site improvement for traffic concerns. So no other news to report.
Yeah, I see that as item number 6 in the resolution.
That's right.
It's sort of a placeholder for that.
That's correct.
50%.
And I also I understand, and maybe somebody could confirm, but it might be a process that goes on a couple of years. I think when you make the request, if you don't get the grant at first, you maybe go back a second time. So what they've done, I think the two administration groups, is agree that when they ultimately get that final decision where they decide this is as good as it's going to get, then they'll come to the district, and the district would fund 50% of that improvement cost.
It'll also give a little time for the school population to rise as per the plan.
That's right.
Maybe we'll actually see
That's
more
right.
of an effect, or maybe not. Who knows? All right. Discussion, questions?
Yeah, can you just sort of,
Yeah, you missed the last one.
yeah, sorry, I wasn't here last time, but can you kind of just tie a bow on the traffic issues that were problematic and have been
Yes,
worked out? Just
for
me
sure.
and others.
For sure. So coming out of the Planning Commission, there were some open cleanup items that were just cleanup, but then there were also some numbers that had to be adjusted to reflect for appropriate traffic counts. And what the open items we're dealing with were future potential mitigation improvements that we had to identify as an applicant for the township as part of our project. So it's off-site traffic impact, and then we had to quantify when that impact would essentially show up based on enrollment, and then create basically a threshold measure, whereas if student enrollment went above a certain amount, there may be a need to provide some mitigation at an intersection. So we were working with Mr. Drummond and our traffic engineer to get those numbers right and the appropriate percentages for when that threshold was met. When we were at the Planning Commission, it had not been finalized. Since that point, we had submitted updated counts and updated mitigation proposals to the satisfaction of the township staff.
Thank you.
Sure.
Further questions, comments? Seeing none, any public participation on this issue? And seeing none, I will call a vote on Resolution 2025-72, the final land development plan approval. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
It's great. Thank you.
Keep it moving.
Yep. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Item 3E is ordinance 2025-04. It's an introduction this evening, amending the Code of Radnor, Chapter 270, Section 270-31, special parking codes for the removal of a handicap space at 422 West Beech Tree Lane. Could I have a motion, please? So moved, and a second. Riley and Mulrooney. Thank you very much. All right, Chief, do you have anything to tell us about this?
Yes, Commissioner, the Highway Patrol Unit was approached by the family, and good news to report, they don't need the use of it anymore, so they've asked for it to be removed.
Pretty straightforward. Thank you so much. All right. Any public participation on this issue? And no comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call a vote, except I turned the page and don't know what the issue is now. On the introduction of ordinance 2025-04. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Next item is 3F, Resolution 2025-71, authorization of the payment of change order numbers 1 through 5, 7, 9, and 10 for additional paving and bump-out construction, excavation, and base repair, and concrete and stone removal, erosion control modification, and walking path leveling and replacement, base repair and leveling course, and a decrease resulting from unused 2A modified stone and pavement milling for the Willows Park paving project. Phew. Contract B-24-003 to Marino Corporation for the total net amount of $66,001.96 to be funded from the general fund allocated to the requirements of the lease agreement. Could I have a motion, please? So moved by Commissioner Riley, and a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mulrooney. Thank you. Mr. Norsini?
Thank you, Madam President, and you explained it quite well. Those are all the things that occurred. So if you recall, if you drive up by the Willows Mansion, there used to be a long stretch where decades ago somebody put concrete behind the curbing. Didn't look great. At that point in time, we thought, okay, let's address this. We did add a bump out in that same exact area based on some input from folks coming out of the parking lot. And we changed some of the paving spec because we saw that the sub-base was adequate. So basically, we have a reconstructed road that runs through there, and these were all part and parcel changes that we made during that process as we encountered certain things. So we're requesting the board approve these $66,001.96 change orders.
Thank you. My usual question, was this in the contingency?
So I have two answers for that.
Okay.
From the original budget, we are almost $200,000 below the original budgeted price with a contingency to match. When we received this lower bid, we based the contingency on the lower bid. So based on that low bid, we are about $36,000 over our contingency. But in the big picture, we're considerably under budget off of what was in the capital plan.
That was a good dance around. Okay. Any public part or any comments from commissioners or questions? Seeing none, any public participation? All right. I am going to call a vote on Resolution 2025-71. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. All right. Item 3G, Resolution 2025-74. Authorization of the payment of the change order for additional patching, replacement of deteriorated rebar, and additional traffic maintenance to Marino Corporation for the emergency repair of the Lowry's Lane Bridge in the amount of $29,825 to be paid from the capital fund. Could I have a motion, please? So moved. So moved by Commissioner Agnew, and a second. Second by Commissioner O'Reilly. Thank you. Mr. Norsini.
So this is a little different situation. PennDOT does a biannual bridge inspection, and in this biannual bridge inspection, I received a call, and they said there was concrete decking that needed to be addressed in the very short-term emergency. And what they thought would be the fix is called a Type 1 repair, where approximately 3/4 of an inch of concrete is removed and reinstalled as a specific mix that goes in. As we did that, we found that what was underneath was no good. So that was the reinforcing steel as well as the concrete. So we went from a type 1 to a type 2, which is instead of 3/4 of an inch, basically 6 inches of concrete was removed and reinforcing steel was replaced. Hence the reason the project tripled in price. And lastly, the area probably roughly tripled also.
But it's safe and sound now.
It
The
is safe
project
and
is complete?
It is complete, and our public works folks replaced the sidewalk, so it's all great over there.
Thank you. Any commissioner questions or comments? Go ahead.
How long will it last? I know. Best guess.
So actually, Commissioner, we may be doing a bridge decking project in the upcoming years. So these are patches, and I would anticipate we're going to find more of these patches. So at one point, we're going to have to sit down and evaluate, do we continue patching, or at one point do we redo the deck? But the repairs should last us for several years. I have no concern over them. It's other parts of the bridge that show a crack now that in X years is going to be another one of these repairs. And then a crack then is going to be another repair in so many years. So probably the next biannual report will be the time to sit down and take a look at this and see if we want to make a request in the capital budget. Never, ever will we sacrifice safety, just so everybody is aware of that. That never occurs. But we're fine right now. Based on the PennDOT consultant evaluating the bridge, this was the specific area they brought forth.
Good to hear about the ongoing inspections of the bridges, too. So I'm sure it's not just this bridge, because all those, or at least 2 of those bridges are the same sort of age look-wise, anyway. All right.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So that bridge, is that, you read, or we read, that bridges in Pennsylvania have a D, grade D, out of, I guess next is F. What grade did that bridge have?
So I don't recall them giving us grades on this. They just list repairs in order of severity and need. So they'll say you need to do these repairs immediately or it goes long-term. Don't recall a specific overall grade for the bridge.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions? Seeing none? Any public participation? All right. I'm going to call a vote on Resolution 2025-74. All in favor? Aye. It's a good thing because it was already done. Thank you. Item 3H, Resolution 2025-77, authorization of the payment for the emergency replacement and repair of the traffic signal and related equipment and foundation at Route 30 and Radnor Chester Road to Charles A. Higgins and Sons, Incorporated, to include a contingency and the amount of $100,000. To include a contingency, comma. The amount is $100,000 to be paid from the general fund. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Mulrooney, and a second by Commissioner Riley. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Norsini.
Thank you, Commissioner. So this was a hit and run on a traffic signal. The traffic signal is fine. We had Higgins come out and look at it, but it does need to be replaced in short order, shorter than the whole bidding process and design. So we will be going through insurance. We have a police report. We have this. Just for the board to, I know it's such an interesting topic. When we redo these signals, 90% of them are old enough that they're older bases. So when we redo these signals, not only do we have to use a larger base, PennDOT requires us to move back considerably from the edge of road, which causes its own host of problems. It's a wise thing, as we can see, because this pole was hit, but it does change things. We're going to have to redo sidewalk with this, and it's at the Bages property, right on the corner there. We've notified them, and we'll work with them on the relocation. It's all within the right-of-way. We don't need any easements, but it's no longer just a plug-and-play replacement. It's always a move, and it's larger, so we tangle with underground utilities and easements and those types of things.
Thanks. I didn't mention the insurance part when I was reading it, sorry. But that answered that question nicely. $100,000 1 seems like a very round number, and 2 seems very low for these. Sometimes we see these that are much more expensive than that.
So this is for one pole and one mast arm in the intersection. If we had to replace the intersection, we'd probably be looking at about 400,000 plus. And the contingency took us to the high 90s, so that was me who rounded it up to $100,000.
Sounds good. All right. Any commissioner?
Have we
comments?
made the insurance claim?
We've sent that, yeah. I'm sorry, yes, we have them, so,
So we sent it to Gallagher, and then they
correct.
have put it in?
I'll
Submitted
check with finance, but we have all the information for them. I'll check with our people to make
Well,
sure it's
Mr.
actually
Tate.
going through.
Yes. Yeah, we got a guy. The claim is submitted, and it's in process. So when we have more information or an update, we'll report back to you.
Okay. How long does that usually take?
Depending on the nature of, as Mr. Norsini described, a hit and run, it could be investigated, so they could take 30 to 60 days.
Okay. And
Or longer.
is there a deductible or anything for this kind of thing, or what's the deal?
$10,000.
So we could get at most 90 back, that's the deal?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Bob, I didn't know you were over there.
All right. Any further commissioner comments, questions? All right. Seeing none. Any public participation? Okay. We have a pretty dry agenda this evening. All right. I'd like to take a vote then on Resolution 2025-77. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. That concludes the business agenda. Sorry, I talk loud enough anyway. It was unanimous, aye, and that concludes the business agenda. Next item is reports of board liaisons. I would say there is a Board of Health meeting tomorrow evening in this very room, if anyone is interested. Anyone else? Seeing none. All right. New business? Old business?
Madam
Mr. White.
President, if I could, I should have brought this up under 3F, but in prior conversations about the improvements being done at the Willows Park and the money that was allocated back when the agreement was reached with Willows Park Preserve, we had discussed at the time that the resurfacing project was being bid, that at the conclusion of that and once the numbers were wrapped up, which occurred tonight, the next phase of this is to talk about the entrance and the exit walls that are there. So that's something that Tammy will be working with through Parks Board and the neighbors in the area. So just in case anybody gets questions on that, now that the resurfacing is buttoned up, that's the next step in the projects over there.
Perfect for old business. Could I ask a quick question? Is that just a beautification issue, or is it structural? I don't know quite where to
More
ask.
the latter. I mean, the structure of the walls that are there now is sound. I think it's more of an enhancement to the area.
Thank you. All right. Any further old business? Seeing none, any final public participation? No? All right. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Mulroney. A second? All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.